Welcome to Prepper Nation. I'm John, of course. Thank you very much for being here. Let's get into Social Security. Social Security is pretty much dead at this point. Our government knows as much. They're trying to figure out what to do about it or what not to do about it because again, it's the government. They don't really get a lot accomplished. Yesterday, I replied over on X to everybody's good friend, Bernie Sanders. What do y'all think about Bernie Sanders before we move forward? Drop it in the chat or the comments or whatever. Old Bernie, old commie Bernie, as I like to call him, he says tax the rich. And I replied and I said, the money's already been taken. You shouldn't have to tax the rich or anybody else really because you've already taken the money. I would just rather know where the money went for Social Security. Been paying it my whole life. Hopefully, it is not your retirement plan because I've come to terms with the fact that I will never see any payoff on the back end. It's just money that's been thieved by the government. But again, it is projected to run aground by the year 2033. Many experts, many financial experts that study Social Security specifically are saying, nah, it's going to happen a lot sooner than 2023. The government is really giving it a fresh set of legs. They're predicting within, a 5 year span, something like that. So again, hopefully that is not your retirement plan. What is the problem? Our government, when they sit down, they're looking for a reason. Why did Social Security run out? I just don't understand. They're never going to admit because we wasted the money, we squandered the money that we stole from you, via payroll tax. Part of the payroll tax, for those that don't know, maybe you've never worked, you're paying for Social Security. But they list three things, and this is from, I'm quoting Investopedia here, but they're taking it straight from the government. Number one, baby boomers are retiring. How dare y'all? If you're a baby boomer, how dare you retire when you want it to retire? It's your fault. The government's saying way too many baby boomers are retiring. Number two, the U.S. population is aging. We just talked about this yesterday. They've known about this one for a while, to be fair. Again, the UN published a report late 90s, very early 2000s, where they knew this was going to be a huge issue. And this is why we're seeing a lot of the mass, shall we say, newcomers. I'm going to see how many people I can trigger with that. Yeah, I know they're illegals, folks. And number three, not enough American workers. So another problem that they're looking at by 2033 is they're going to have, I think it was just over it's like 2.1 retirees for every American worker that is paying into payroll tax. This is not including people that work under the table and side hustles and get paid cash, blah, blah, blah. So this includes, they said, Medicare Part A. So if you're on Medicare Part A or you were looking forward to that at the end of your financial rainbow, it's not going to be there according to the government. Our government, what a fine establishment that is there in DC. Can I get a name in or an FJB or something like that? The government is exploring three different options to head up this problem. Okay, number one, they want to raise payroll taxes on the folks that are already working and paying into the system. All right, so if you're working above the table, shall we say, your taxes may be going up to offset the useless spending that happened at a government level. Number two, the lowering of benefits. Because that's always good when you retire. You're promised one thing and then you get something totally different. And number three, setting the retirement age even higher than it is right now, to get your benefits. They're saying you could still partially retire. What is it, 62, 63? I don't know. But they're saying, hey, if you work until 72, maybe then we'll have the money somehow. I don't know. But most government officials on both sides of the aisle, you always hear the GOP is trying to take away your Social Security. But the fact is, the Social Security is not there anyway. There's nothing to take away. It's already been taken away. There's just back and forth bickering at this point. And most politicians on Capitol Hill want a combination plan of these three. So again, they want to raise taxes on certain people, they want to lower benefits across the board, and they want to raise the retirement age and force people to work longer. Again, baby boomers, you might be working another 10 or 12 years. Sorry about your luck. But that is the government in action. Here are three options that old John suggests. Not that it amounts to a hill of beans because I'm not on Capitol Hill, but if I were, here are the three options that I would suggest before we move forward. Number one, stop supporting free ride lifestyles. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hoarder. Send me $3,000 a month for disability. Hey, I work part time making $4 an hour, but I've popped out 12 kids and I'm pregnant again. This sort of thing, okay? And I'm all about procreation. But seriously, if there's no plan whatsoever to support yourself, we should not be in a situation where we're arguing over paying fast food workers $20 an hour because fast food was intended to be for high schoolers. For those that didn't know that, they're not viable financial career paths. You know, if you're an adult working there, hey, you're bouncing back, you're getting back on your feet, but you should always be looking for something better, right? We got to stop supporting this free ride lifestyle and all of the welfare abuse that takes place in this country. Hopefully, that doesn't get up into somebody's feelings, but if it does, I'm there, son, like a bear claw. Number two, stop funding endless wars. Don't know how many times I got to beat that drum over here. It sounds ridiculous to sit here and say, well, baby boomers might have to work 10, 12 more years. We can't afford to pay you the money that we stole, while at the same time sending billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to fund both sides of endless wars. This is where we're at. We're funding a war in Europe. We're funding both sides of a war in the Middle East. We're preparing for a war in Taiwan. When is enough enough? And number three, no American jobs should be worked by illegals. None. Under the table jobs have always existed, folks, but seriously, there in no world should we be seeing Americans who can't find jobs who are actively looking while also watching illegals come in and take jobs. Thoughts on that before we move forward because we're getting into that topic now, actually. We're watching the left eat their own, which is always interesting. And no pun intended, because we're going to be talking about like Uber Eats and Grubhub and stuff. The left is eating its own. All right, so are y'all familiar with the term gig workers? Gig workers are, a variety of different things, right? But Uber Eats drivers, Grubhub delivery drivers, DoorDash, Instacart, these sorts of jobs where you download the app, and it takes a long time to get qualified because you have to prove who you are and this sort of thing. And they do, I guess a basic background check. They don't want some random person delivering food or whatever. So anyway, these are considered gig workers. I've known because my wife is in education, and in education they don't exactly get paid a lot of money. So we do know a couple of teachers, or we have known them in the past, where they were. I think it was Grubhub at the time, but they would go out like one day a week, Saturday nights, because they were busy, and they would just sit in parking lots and they would wait on offers to come in to go pick up food. What happens is, this is my understanding of it. I don't do it. Maybe you folks do. If you do, let me know. You sit there and an offer will pop up every so often, and they will tell you exactly, how far it is. Maybe it's 8 miles away and it's going to pay you $12. That includes the tip and everything. So if you accept it, you go pick up the food, you take it to said address. So this is almost like a comedy routine at this point because these people are whining and crying. They're saying illegals are now gaming this system as well. And again, you must provide ID to become like an Uber Eats driver, right? Or a delivery person. So what is happening? I can't even believe we live in this world, but I guess we live in this world, son. It is what it is. Digital coyotes, Americans, who can prove they're American, they are signing up for DoorDash accounts, Instacart accounts, Uber Eats, for example, Grubhub, and then they are renting their accounts out to illegals for approximately 35 percent of the take. And in many cases, what is happening is 3 or 4 illegals will pack into a little bitty vehicle at this point, and they're just taking orders nonstop, just taking them no matter what they are, they're taking them nonstop. So the way the system is designed, again, my understanding, let's say Uber Eats, for example, if you turn down a bunch in a row, they just don't appeal to you, start to get less offers or less paying offers. But if you have a higher acceptance rate, you're taking most of the jobs, you start to receive the better, gig jobs, the higher paying gig jobs. And so illegals are gaming the system. It's kind of like Teamster trucking or something at some point, right? So they're knocking down as many as they possibly can. And now gig drivers, especially in sanctuary cities, getting into the eating their own for a second. Americans who are gig drivers are complaining of oversaturation. They're saying we don't understand what's going on. What is this? All of the sudden, we've got too many drivers and not enough gigs. So I've seen had someone send me a YouTube video. At first, I thought it was a parody, but then I searched it out, and there are more, a lot more of this stuff going on. It's not just in sanctuary cities, but it seems to be happening a whole lot in sanctuary cities. These people, these Americans who used to make a decent living and they got bills to pay, now they're going to sit in a parking lot and they won't get an offer for several hours. They're just sitting there chilling basically, because all of the offers are being scooped up by illegals. Then when they do get an offer, it's something ridiculous. Like, hey, go pick this food up or go get these groceries, drive them 22 miles, from the said grocery store and earn $2. And that's including the tip, everything included there, $2. So they're saying, hey, we're making $2 an hour, $4 an hour, and we really can't live off of that. We don't know what's going on. Illegals are taking our jobs, right? And now they're complaining about it. Marsha Blackburn, from Tennessee, right? She's taking it a step further, and this is a direct quote. She says it's also a danger to Americans because there's absolutely no background checks. These coyotes, some of these apps have facial recognition. So every few days you got to check in. So these illegals are just pulling up. They knock on the door. They get somebody's, facial recognition on the app. They pay them 35% every single payday or what have you. And then these random people that are from whatever country, whatever background, are delivering people's groceries. And as Marsha Blackburn is pointing out, this is dangerous because, what if you are 60 years old, you're by yourself, you don't really have any kind of self defense? You should, you should, preppers. But if you don't, a lot of elderly people don't. And 4 strapping young 22-year-olds from Guatemala with a criminal history show up. And when that door opens, they see a lot of stuff inside the home that they would like to have. This presents a huge problem. So I don't know. I think for me, there has to be accountability, right? And so accountability, that's a really good topic to get into sometime.